We're going to get some commentary here from former Nebraska Westland track athlete Luke Mahoney, who has been a teammate of Josh Beavers on the track team at Westland. Has been also a teammate of Brian Adams in City Rec flag football for a number of years. You've seen both of them perform athletically in person. Luke, what are your impressions on the race?
Well, it's kind of two different aspects to this. BA has the flag football speed, but I don't know if that really translates to 40 speed. I've ran against BA before. He's a fast guy. You can't let his size fool you. And, anybody that trains with a communist method of athleticism, you really can't bet against. And I got to say, I am a little bit worried about Brian. The rumor is he was drinking whiskey and watching porn all night, but I don't really know if Jack Daniel's lemonade and an Abercrombie ad really count as porn. But I think they'll both do all right.
Okay, thank you. We want to get some commentary from Mrs. Chatelain, who is a longtime friend of Brian Adams and also a teammate of Josh Beavers. Amy, what's your prediction on this race? There's nobody else watching.
Prove you wrong, Amy. We'll prove you wrong.
Sorry, I got dibs on Beav.
Okay, and what makes you pick the larger Josh Beaver over the the slimmer and the person who has a physique that more looks like a sprinter? What leads you to believe that Josh Beaver can win this race?
I've raced Beav before. He kicked my ass.
That's good enough. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Have a good evening.
Like I said, I had a race.
Judd Chatelain, we've got here, longtime roommate of Brian Adams, also a Nebraska Westland alum, has also seen Josh Beaver perform on the football field and the track. Judd, who are you taking in this race tonight?
I think it's going to be really tight. I'm going to take Brian Adams. I think Beav with his, I don't know, big body. I don't know how fast he can get it in sprint shape. I think Brian's probably a little bit closer to being in top form. So
if I'm understanding you correctly, the fact that Brian is closer to his quote-unquote playing weight in college than Josh Beaver is, do you think that's going to play a factor this evening?
I think it's going to play a factor. He's naturally just a little bit smaller. Should be a little bit quicker.
Have you been talking to Brian's wife lately?
It's all going to be about turnover. That's the only thing that worries me about Brian. I don't know if he has any type of sprinting background. He's going to get those jackhammer feet going.
Okay.
So,
is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I just can't wait to see it. It's going to be a great matchup.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, we've got Dirk Chatelain here. Dirk, probably out of all the people here, seen more athletes, being a sports reporter for the Omaha World Herald. Dirk, you've seen many athletes the last few years. Are there any Nebraska football players currently on the roster that you would compare to either of these two guys?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think, you hear stories about guys like, Bruce Pickens, guys that could really run in that 4.2, 4.3 range. But, it's not very often that you see guys like this. It's funny, I was talking to my grandfather last night on the phone, and I was telling him about this. And he was actually at Madison Square Garden in March of '71 when Frazier fought Ali for the first time. And just really went into great detail about what kind of cultural event that was, and just the emotion, that was in the Garden that night. And that's kind of how I feel today. I don't know if words can really describe it, but you hear the dogs barking and everything, and you just know it's a big deal. And someday, I really hope that I have a chance to tell my grandson about it.
So for those viewers who may watch this that aren't that familiar with these two fine athletes, would you say that the closest event that compares to this is that fight, Ali versus Frazier in '71? Or is there something else that is a little more similar?
Well, I was trying to think about this, and I think historically, I go back to some of the great golf duels or tennis matches. I think McEnroe-Borg in '80 at Wimbledon was another one that you sat there that day in that fine setting, and you just knew that something special was going to happen.
So is this more of a McEnroe versus Borg, or is this more Tiger Woods versus Bob May in the PGA?
Well, one of our athletes actually looks a little bit like Bob May, but
this is big versus small.
It is. It's
David and Goliath.
these guys are they're fighting for more than just themselves, you know, and that's kind of what makes this event special, because you got guys. It's funny, they were walking down here today, and you had people lining up, along the street. Some people cheering for Brian, some people cheering for Beeve, and it was black and white. It was men and women. It was all sorts, and it's just great to bring everybody out.
Now, you're so graciously hosting this event tonight. There's been a lot of talk about potential injury to one of these two athletes. Do you have the proper medical equipment necessary if one of these two were to be injured, say a severe hamstring pull, or maybe a severely scraped knee, or just a bruised ego?
I didn't want to really ruin anybody's confidence, but beyond these two houses over here, we've got a team of doctors and paramedics set up in case something happens. I didn't really want to bring them out because I didn't want to alert these guys of what the potential pitfalls of the race might be. But they're there in case something happens. I think groins. That's probably the thing that I fear the most. Groins and hamstrings. So hopefully this won't affect anybody's sex life or anything like that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Steve, you put a lot now, given it a lot of thought. Give me your pre-race thoughts now that we're almost here.
Well, I think I'm in a pretty unique position to make a prediction on this race. Both of these gentlemen have been I've had the pleasure of them being my roommates. At different levels in our lives. Brian during the college years, and I got to see him, compete against me in many useless activities, whether it be PlayStation, shooting Nerf hoops, and frankly, I kind of beat him at everything pretty badly except racquetball, which is why he claims that as one of his best accomplishments ever. But he never gives up. He kept coming back for more, despite how much I kept dominating him. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how he handles this. If Josh Beaver gets out to an early start, which for his size, he's got some quicks. If Brian just kind of gives up and starts struggling. Me being a former track athlete throughout the years, many times I offered for Brian to come and do some workouts with me, and he never really took me up on those. But finally, 2 weeks ago, he started listening to some of my advice, and I gave him some pointers, and I think it might help him out here. He's been working pretty hard. However, Josh Beaver, if you listen to his athletic accomplishments, are pretty amazing. I mean, as a high school record holder for local school as a freshman that he set, he still holds a record over 10 years later. That's pretty impressive. And
now, Steve, aren't there about 6 people that go to that school though?
I think at the time there was 5, and they're up to 7. So you average it over that 10 years, it's an average of 6 people. But they've produced some not very good athletes, but every once in a while somebody comes along that does a pretty good job.
Hey, Steve, I would like you're in a unique position knowing these guys so well and also being a track and field expert. And maybe you want to do it quietly, but I would like some sort of pre-race prediction from our experts.
Well, I think people are going to be surprised at Josh Beaver's quickness out the gates, and he's been doing more explosive workouts using the Russian kettlebell, which is deceptively very difficult to do. And Brian Adams has been more focused on the aerobic exercises to try and keep his body weight down, but that's not going to help him run a 40-yard dash. I think Josh Beaver will win this easily.
Thank you, Steve.
Put on a lot of these combines.
Yes.
With what you've seen so far, what do you think?
Well, from my past experience, usually the smaller guy is the faster guy. Obviously, knowing BA, he's quick. But I'll be honest, watching Beeve warm up here, he seems a little more focused. And I've just seen him jog around and stuff. He moves really well for a big man. So, I'm kind of in a toss-up here. I mean, I think my gut's still going to go, just from past experience, go with BA in this one, just because, 260 pounds, he may be flat out fast. That's tough to get going in a 40-yard dash. And BA's got exceptional quickness. Whether he's got the top speed of Beeve, that's yet to be determined. But
well, you heard it here from a professional. I think we can all agree we can't wait for this to get started.